It's been 10 years since Far Cry was released. Feels like yesterday. I still vividly remember when I first played it. My brother gave me a copy and I had quite a high-end machine back then, a Pentium 4 and a Radeon 9800, and yeah, I maxed it all out and proceeded to start the game, and yeah, it was lagging and it took like seconds to react to a mouse click, so I actually dismissed it and didn't play it until a couple of months later, and then I tweak the settings, like you do on a PC, and put some settings on medium, some settings on high, and yeah, really fell in love, and it's such a good game, really good memories. So my name is Phil, and this video is all about Far Cry. Let's begin by talking about where you can actually buy this game. You can grab it from GOG.com or Steam, but you can also buy it either secondhand or new on eBay. And there are labels such as Sold Out Software, for example, and they specialize on selling brand new versions of old games. Now, when you try to run a game that's 10 years old on a modern computer, you will sooner or later run into some technical issues. And in the beginning of the video, I'll talk a lot about technical stuff, how to configure the graphics, the sound. We're going to talk about patches and mods, and also certain technical difficulties that other users have ran into and where I know how to solve them. I also want to mention that this is about the single player, the campaign, and I'm not covering how to play online in this video. The computer I'm using is a Core i7, it's got 8GB of RAM, the graphics card is an Nvidia GTX 660, and I'm running Windows 8.1 64-bit. After you've installed the game, make sure you run the configuration utility and adjust your video and audio settings. So here I'm just cranking up the resolution and I'm changing all the details. Now, be aware the game does support all widescreen resolutions, but some elements will be stretched, and I'm going to show you some screenshots about that later. For the sound options, you can turn on hardware mixing and EAX, but if you don't have a Creative Card and Creative Alchemy, it won't work. So here we're looking at how the game looks in the traditional 4:3 aspect ratio and in the more modern widescreen. While the game does support widescreen resolutions, some elements are stretched, for example the crosshair, but also the compass, the binoculars, and other elements on the screen, for example on the right hand side, the health meter, the weapon slots, all of that. Those who want to play in the traditional 4:3 aspect ratio, just keep in mind that you want to run at a native resolution so that the image stays nice and clear. And the best way to do this is to create a custom resolution that is a 4:3 ratio and has exactly the height in pixels of your monitor. For example, I've got a full HD 1920 by 1080 monitor, so I just create a custom resolution of 1440 by 1080, and you can do that in your video card driver. Another tweak I recommend is setting the texture filtering to 16x. That just makes sure that the textures, when you look at it at an angle and into the distance, are nice and sharp. If you have a Creative Sound card, you can use Creative Alchemy to enable 3D audio and also EAX sound effects. So what happened was, when Windows Vista came out, they made some changes to the way games communicate to the sound card, and it basically meant that accelerated audio was a thing of the past. So if you're wondering why you can only get stereo sound in Far Cry, this is the reason. So if you want to get surround sound and also enable EAX, environmental sound effects, you have to use Creative Alchemy, and just follow what I'm doing in here in the video to add it to the supported, to the enabled list. Okay, so you're good to go, everything is configured, and now it's time to run the game. And personally, I've run into two issues, and I found people with issues on the GOG forum and the Steam forum as well, so chances are that you might run into something similar. The first issue is startup black screen. So you start the game and you basically get a black screen. You see a little bit of hard drive activity, but nothing seems to happen. And on the GOG forum, there's a user who found a solution. You need to edit a configuration file. Me personally, I found a different way. I just alt-tabbed and pressed a few buttons and just waited it out, and after a few minutes the game will actually load. So it seems to be doing something in the background, and you only have to do this once. Also, starting the level also took very long. It took a couple of minutes, but the progress bar does move slowly, and it was a one-off. So once that was done, I didn't have that problem again. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. The other issue has to do with an NVIDIA driver. On my Pentium 4, I'm using a NVIDIA, was it a 6600 GT card, and if I try the latest version of the driver, I get these weird, I don't know what to call it, snow effect, all the textures that just look really strange, and the solution was to go with an older driver. And there's one more issue, and unfortunately for this one there's no fix. It seems to be related to the operating system. It's a bug that's happened since Windows Vista. When you look here on the horizon, the land masses, they do not reflect onto the water. So you can only see the trees throwing reflections, but the land masses are not. And what is the solution? The solution is using Windows XP as an operating system, which is probably a huge pain. It's not a big deal. Apart from the land masses, I'm not aware of any other impact in terms of visuals. So yeah, just put up with it. It's really not a big deal. Okay, let's talk about some patches. Lots of them. The GOG.com and the Steam version come with patch 1.4. One issue with 1.4 is that enemies can see you through tents and they'll shoot you through tents, which makes it a bit annoying when you're trying to stealth around. So a lot of people try not to play with that version. What you can do is you can use version 1.33. On the Steam version, it just installed without any dramas. On the GOG.com version, it complained, and what I had to do was just install 1.3 first, and then 3.1, 3.2, and then 3.3. So a little bit of a workaround, but not much. The other official patch that's worth talking about is the AMD 64 patch. So back in the days, they did a patch which worked on only 64-bit processors, and it needed a 64-bit operating system. Now things are different. Most of us run a 64-bit operating system, be it Windows 7, 8 or 8.1. So you might want to check out this patch. There are two components. First, you got to install the 64-bit patch, and then the exclusive content update, which improves textures, viewing distance, more objects, and it also adds a few things to the peer level. So definitely worth checking out. I've actually got some benchmark videos comparing the 32-bit with the 64-bit version. So I'm just going to put them side by side and just have a look if you see any differences. What to look out for is the viewing distance. You'll see more detail in the trees, and also the textures on the mountains are a little bit different. But all in all, the differences are quite subtle. Just want to briefly talk about unofficial patches and mods, and there are lots of them. The two main products I found when doing my research was the Far Cry Community Patch 1.6. This one is for people who not looking for any graphical updates. They just want to have the AI, the enemies a bit smarter, and they don't want to have that enemies shooting through tents bug. It's around 30 megabytes and nice and compact. I tried it, it works pretty well. And then we've got the Far Cry add-on mod 1.99, and this is an all-out mod. It replaces all sorts of stuff, textures, it's got weapon skins when you aim down the sight. It's a gigabyte large in download size, so quite a substantial update. It's also a bit more demanding, more on the graphics card. So you need to have a fairly decent computer. But I tried it as well and works very well. So if you're looking for the best graphics and all the latest and best improvements, that's the version to go for. And there's one more tweak we have to talk about, which is HDR or High Dynamic Range graphics. And you have to open the console by pressing the tilde key and then typing in what I just typed in on the screen, and you can see how everything is a lot shinier now, and it's a really cool effect. There's just one catch: it does not work when you have anti-aliasing enabled, so it's either one or the other. Finally, we're done with the tech stuff and we can focus on the game, and let's start with the story. Now, I'm not gonna reveal too much because the stories and the plot is really good, and I'm only gonna show footage from the first few levels, so I don't wanna spoil too much. So what is the story all about? You play Jack, you're a former US Navy Special Forces, and you're running a boat charter business, and you get hired by a lady, a Val, and she wants you to drop her secretly off to an island, and on the way you get attacked with an RPG, and that's how the game starts. And now you gotta find your way back to Val, and the story just continues from there. Now, the way the story is told, there are little cutscenes and little inputs every now and then.
Listen, dirtbag! Keep an eye out for some punk in a red Hawaiian shirt. If you see him, call me at once. Am I understood?
Yes, sir!
I'm heading out!
So yeah, lots of the cutscenes are actually quite funny. Now, in terms of the controls, the standard WASD plus the mouse. Now, Jack can jump, he can go prone, he can crouch, he can walk and sprint, and he can also lean to the left and to the right.
Hello? Are you there? Pick up the radio if you can hear this. I know you're there. I've been tracking you since you and Val arrived.
Who are you?
I'm the guy who's going to tell you how to survive. Call me Doyle.
How do I know I can trust you?
Well, for starters, how about the fact that I haven't turned you in? That radio has a bioreader. Since I know you're there, I could have ratted you out already.
Good point. Keep talking.
Listen, you need to get out of there and quickly. I'll help you as much as possible, but you don't have much time. There's an exit that will lead to a small camp. Be careful as you go. This area is crawling with mercenaries.
By the way, name's Jack Carver.
So in the beginning, all you're gonna have is a pistol and a little bit of ammunition, but ammunition is actually plenty. Usually you pick it up from enemies, but there are also weapon lockers and just stuff lying throughout the world. Now on the bottom left, we've got our compass, but it's also a stealth meter, so we can tell if an enemy has seen us. We'll see some red bars go up. We can also see noise, so noise sources are visualized on the compass. On the right side, the bottom right side, we've got 3 meters. One is for health, then we've got one for armor, and the last one is for sprinting or stamina. When the blue one, the sprinting one, is depleted, for example, you can't sprint anymore, but also if you're swimming and you're diving, you're gonna start losing health. When you get shot, you lose your armor first, and then you'll lose your health. And here the game basically starts. We're just going to take care of business and take him out, and there are lots of different ways. You can just try to sneak up on them, do some headshots, or go Rambo, or you can look for barrels and blow them up, and that makes it a little bit easier. Or you can hide a little bit and let them come towards you. And yeah, so we're just going to watch this unfold. When you've dealt with all the enemies, you just look at your compass, and there's usually an indicator that tells you where you need to go next to progress to the next checkpoint. And every time you hit a checkpoint, the game automatically saves. Now here we're picking up the binoculars, and they're really handy for sussing out the area. You can zoom in and out, and it keeps track of the enemies and it puts them on your map, so you can see where they are, and just helps with stealthing around. The binoculars also have a microphone built in, so you can actually listen to the enemy. Sometimes they have little funny conversations, but sometimes you can also hear an enemy that you can't see because they're behind something. So it's actually quite clever.
You should try to acquire one of their vehicles and drive to the helicopter refueling pad. It's on the other side of the island. From there, you can use one of their boats to escape.
And this is what's so good about Far Cry. You have all these choices of how you're going to approach it. I could have gone from the left or from the right. I'm choosing this way. I'm just going to dive a little bit so that I don't get spotted. And yeah, and then you just attack them, or you can just go and just run past them, try to get a vehicle, try to get a gun. What you need to look out for is not to be spotted. And as soon as you shoot, the people in camp, they get alerted and they warn each other, and they also call in for reinforcements, either by shooting a flare or by hitting the alarm switch, and you'll hear the alarm go off. So we're just going to play out this, see how this scene plays out. Okay, we made it. So here we have our first vehicle, a little buggy, and there are a couple of vehicles in the game. Some trucks, Humvees, that little Jeep. Those are boats and hang gliders. Now, something with the weapons. If you press X, not most, but some weapons have a fire mode. You can switch between manual and fully automatic. And vehicles also have that. Some vehicles you can switch between the machine gun and the rocket launcher. And here, this is quite a difficult scene in the game, because there's a patrol boat that's got a rocket launcher just around the corner. So this scene is not too hard, so I'm just taking care of business. And then we're just gonna fast forward to the next bit. sometimes when you're having difficulties and they're really tough enemies, you can just bolt. You don't really have to fight everyone. You can just run past them, and they don't chase you forever. So if you make it to the next checkpoint, you'll see that the enemies actually don't go after you. So sometimes, yep, just run and you'll be fine.
Did you see something? Eat this!
Okay, now we just gotta make it to the carrier, and the way I always do it is just dive underneath all the trouble. There's a patrol boat patrolling, and you just gotta make sure that it doesn't see you, so just gotta dive enough. Okay, in the next bit I'm gonna show you how to tackle the beginning of another level using different approaches. Okay everyone, so this brings us to the end of the video. I'm going to show you 3 approaches to tackling this level. In the first method, usual gun and run, just hopping, moving from island to island. In the second version, I'm gonna ambush them and just gonna steal the boat and use that to attack them. And in the third approach, I'm just evading them all together. I'm gonna going all the way around to the left, because there's a path you can take around, and there's a turret, and you can sneak up behind them and then hop on the turret and just take care of business from there. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing this video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. Hit the like button, hit the share button if you liked it and want to share it with people. Leave a comment if you've got any questions or comments and so on. Check out my website, philscomputerlab.com, and yep, that's it. Have a good day.
You heard me.
Listen good. You should be able to see the old World War II fort on the hill now. Get up there and destroy the communication center as soon as you can. Establish the communication facility. You need to disrupt their communication by destroying the satellite. That will create enough information for you to escape, and then we can focus on fire.
I still don't get it.